Live and live.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. My name is Diana Nguyen. I am an actor, comedian. I like to spread joy. You see me dance all over LinkedIn, and you probably heard me laugh like this. My name is Ahmad, Imam. I've taken over Diana's channel for today. This is LinkedIn Live. This is the Snort Cast. If you're just tuning in, I want to see you drop those comments in because today we are actually interviewing Diana herself. Okay, so if you're joining us, I want you to let me know, where are you joining from? Okay, so I want you to drop the city. I want you to drop the country. Let us know where you are actually joining from. Now, we've got a packed show for you today. We're going to dive deep into the world of Diana Nguyen. She actually has no idea what questions I'm going to ask her, so I'm going to make this process as painful as I can possibly make it for Diana. So drop those comments in and yeah, let me know what city and what country you're joining from. Now we've got the honor, I should say, of having a global audience, and so seeing people join globally from different countries around the world, knowing we can impact people from different countries around the world is just an absolute honor. We're seeing some people join now. Thank you very much, Luke. We've got Canada, we've got Melbourne. We've got Kenya, bonjour. We've you've Egypt. I'm Egyptian myself, so great to see some Egyptians joining us. Keep the comments coming. Let us know what city you're joining from. Let us know what country you're joining from. We're going to have fun with Diana Nguyen today. We're going to put her through a painful process. We're going to be interviewing her and understand what actually makes her tick. Okay, so as you're joining, drop in your city, drop in your country. Now, you are live on the SnortCast. Okay, now what is the SnortCast? The SnortCast is a live interview show that essentially talks to funny people. Okay, so that's why I could not be an interviewee. I'm not as funny as Diana Nguyen, all right? But we're definitely interviewing Diana Nguyen today. She is personally one of the funniest people I know. But the SnortCast is a LinkedIn Live show that showcases funny people, usually comedians, and asks them questions not only about them and their missions and their purpose, but takes a deep dive into what actually drives them and their comedy and their confidence. Okay, so I'm really excited to be hosting this show. We've got a lot more people joining. We've got Qatar, we've got India, we've got Trinidad and Tobago, we've got Zambia, we've got Germany. I mean, it's incredible. So thank you everyone for joining. I want a lot more people to join because this is going to be an epic show. It's going to be epic. Okay. Now, first of all, before I introduce Diana, let me just explain how you can best follow her. Okay. So obviously, if you're joining now via LinkedIn, you've clearly followed her on LinkedIn. If you're not following Diana on LinkedIn, after this show, not now, after this show, I want you to go to her LinkedIn profile and make sure you click that follow button. Her content is incredible. We're going to talk a lot more about that, and you're going to see a bit more about her today. But you can also follow her on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. You can see the channels there on the banner. And this episode is supported by the Patreon community. So thank you very much for your efforts in bringing the SnortCast and the LinkedIn Live sessions to the audience, to us. Now, without further ado, I want to introduce someone that is actually very special to me. And I've actually got a bio here in front of me, and I might talk to the bio a little bit and then add a little bit of my 2 cents in, considering that I personally know Diana and I've had a personal interaction with her. So Diana is an actor. She's a comedian. She's a creative entrepreneur. She got into stand-up in 2016 after seeing comedians were the ones getting work on TV. Her debut show, Naked, received 4.95 stars, and she toured around Australia and Edinburgh. Her second show, Dirty Diana, received 4 stars, and now hashtag chasing Keanu Reeves is currently on hold until 2021. Yes, she loves Keanu Reeves. She's trying to track him down. It's got a bit of a stalker vibe to it, but we'll talk to her about that. She's the co-creator of the first ever Vietnamese Australian family comedy series in the world called Fear Me, and you can find that at fearme.tv. I personally met Diana about 18 months ago now. I had one of my first video content sessions with her, and I can honestly say that it's because of her that I have built up the confidence to do what I do now on LinkedIn. She is one of those people that truly spreads joy. You know, whenever she enters a room, she is smiling. When she leaves room, she leaves everyone in the room smiling. She has a vibe that is absolutely contagious. And I want to talk to her today, not only about her infectious personality, which a lot of us have experienced and are absolutely grateful for, but I want to understand the person deep down. What actually drives Diana? What motivates Diana? Let's talk about the comedy. Let's talk about Diana as a person, and let's bring her on right now. Welcome, Diana Nguyen, to your own show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Diana Nguyen.
Thanks so much for having me on my show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me come on and just tear this up. Like, I mean, and to those watching, we were having a very brief chat before this, and we know each other so well, and we've worked with each other many times. We just have this really good vibe and energy together. So yeah, let's just see what we can make of this one.
Yes, thanks, and thanks for hosting the show. It's really weird to be on the other side to hear people praise you. So now I know what it feels like. It's really good.
I knew you wanted the praise. All right. So to those joining us, please drop your city, drop your country in. We've gone global. I think I've named nearly every major continent. But for those that are joining, let us know what country you're joining from. And we're going to be starting the show soon. We're going to be doing a deep dive into Diana Nguyen. And thank you very much for all those that have currently joined us. But Diana, let's start off with a very simple question. Okay? It might be simple, it might be difficult, actually. Who is Diana Nguyen, in your own words?
Oh, well, I say it in a sentence, which is I am an actor, comedian, and I'm a creative entrepreneur. And because of LinkedIn, when I jumped on it 3 years ago, it showed me that all the work that I've been doing for 15 years as a actor and comedian was an entrepreneurship. It's something that I've been doing for 15 years where I'm testing work every day, and that work is creativity. So that's who I am. But as you know, if you've seen me on LinkedIn and my life, people have gone, where do you get that energy from? Like I've done a TED Talk. I did my first did the first ever Vietnamese Australian family comedy series called Fear Me. I've done everything, and I dance. That's who I am, right?
You definitely dance. Yeah, I think, look, you're one of those people that does do a bit of everything and excels in a few things. On that point, let's say in 10, 15, 20 years time, whenever it is, you launch a book about your life, okay? What would you title that book?
Well, I've had this book in my head for years and many years, and I would call it because it's actually going to reveal a lot, but maybe this is the place I talk about it. So the book would be called My Dad, Buddha, and Me.
My Dad, Buddha, and Me. Okay, explain that.
So this is well, this is my show. I should tell you about my story, which is I have a dad because
it's actually my show, but continue.
So I have a dad, and my dad hasn't been part of my life for a very long time. As you know, with Fee and Me, it's predominantly about my mum. But I loved my dad when he was around. I was his favorite child. And a little backstory about my dad is that my dad is actually a monk now. He's a Buddhist monk.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So I might have just flung it around and said, "Oh, Dad's a monk." But there was something about me wanting to investigate that about that part of my life. And Me is another saying for mum. So my dad, Buddha, and mum and me. So it was going to be the collection story of my life with all that history, because I feel like I've talked about the SnortCast, is that but when my dad left, he made me I had to be the dad. I had to be the entrepreneur in the family. I had to take care of my mum and my 2 sisters. So, I've had to work really hard to be where I am now.
What kind of impact do you think that had, having to be the father so early on? And what kind of long-term role did that play with your family?
I have to say I lost my childhood. Like, you all see me as the joyful and the happy and the dancing, but I took on a lot of responsibilities as a 9-year-old up to the age of 18 of this expectation to take care of my family with my mum. And my mother is this courageous lion who took care of 3 kids on her own. And I honor her that, because I don't know how she did that in a country where she didn't know the language very well. Was a single mum, and she made it happen and got all 3 of us to university. I honor my mum in that, but also I think about my own childhood and go, and I think that's why, Ahmad, I am joyful in my adulthood, because I'm taking back these years that I didn't get to be. Yeah.
And I think it's also the reason that you want to see so much joy in other people. There's so many different layers of Diana Nguyen that I've experienced, and most people only get to see the layer that you show them on social media, which is you being joyful and dancing, and that is you majority of the time. That's you at least 70-80% of the time. 20% of the time, you're this incredible person that wears their heart on their sleeve. You're one of those people that, you always know what they're thinking because they tell you. You're sensitive at times, but you're also incredibly strong at times. And all these different layers that we have make us up as a person. And, I'm very blessed to have met you, but I want to show people this other side of you as well, because there's so much to you than just a dancing Dinah, right?
There's a lot of facets of me, yes.
Next question. You've got a unique comedic style, all right? You've also got a unique laugh. Yes. Who inspired you the most as a comedian? So which comedians inspired you the most?
I would have to say the comedians who inspire me now to keep going would be Ali Wong, Dave Chappelle, and Robin Williams. And when I think of Robin Williams, I think of him on stage and how no one can stop him. Like, no one can stop his energy. Like, people try to shut him down, but he's just bursting and popping. And I've been told by people that when I'm on stage, I animate, I take up space, and that's what he does. He just takes up space with his body. Yeah,
and you do that very well. Look, I've seen Robin Williams on stage, not in person, but obviously through video. The guy is just the guy's next level. I don't understand where he gets his energy from. I mean, there's rumors, but he literally takes over a show, and you see him go on talk shows, and it might be, let's say, Oprah maybe asking him one initial question at the beginning of the show, and he'll talk for the next 40 minutes, right?
Yeah. And you can't stop him. And I adore that in him, because, you know, there's normal stand-up where people just speak and they have cracking jokes and, you know, puns and such. But for him, he doesn't need the joke because he just flows onto the next moment. Like, you give him something, he takes it and makes it funny. And I just love that. You know?
Absolutely. Now, to the audience watching, let us know who your favorite comedian is. Who is a comedian that you looked up to as a young kid? Even a comedian that you look up to now, someone that you find absolutely hilarious. Who is a comedian that inspires you? Diana, talk to me about Dave Chappelle. Why Dave Chappelle?
Oh my goodness. I remember back in the 90s watching his Ku Klux Klan sketch. You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that was awesome.
He's just gold. Like,
yeah, that was brilliant.
Psychology, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was just like, mwah. It was just like brilliant. And I love that so much.
To those who don't have context, Dave Chappelle had a skit show. It's called the Dave Chappelle Show. And he had this one skit where he was a blind man that was also a Ku Klux Klan member. But because he was blind, he didn't actually know that he didn't know that he was black. He didn't know that he was an African American. And so he ended up being the head and leader of this Ku Klux Klan because he was just so passionate about what he was talking about and racist against blacks, right? So it was just, the whole dynamics around that was incredible. To those watching, let us know what comedians. Let us know which people you actually were inspired by, and we can talk to that. We can talk to that a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about Fee and Me. Let's talk about what actually inspired Fee and Me.
Oh, it's a big one. Well, could you show the trailer of Fee and Me? Would that be all right?
Yeah, let's do it. Go for it.
I say Ahmad share, but it's actually me sharing.
Don't break down the fourth wall.
Hey, I'm Fee Nguyen. I'm second-generation Vietnamese Australian. I live in Springvale with my mum.
You can't park in a disabled area. Are you disabled?
Sorry, I don't speak English.
I know you speak English. You do this all the time.
And Uncle Ray.
When you cross the road, make sure you look left and right.
I'm in year 10 in Springvale High. I'm choosing my VC subjects for next year.
Oh, yeah, choosing subject. You should pick special ed math.
Hey,
Hey, Danny.
while you're here, should we run some lines for the play?
What is subject here? Drama. What drama?
It's acting.
Alas, you want to jump up and down, roll on the floor? I don't want to sew and work hard so that you be an actor.
Mr. Michelle, my drama teacher.
I told you not to do drama. Stop putting idea in her head. You're a bad influence. You cannot have a voice in her. I am the only special person in your life. Do you know any famous Asian actor in the movie?
Yeah, the hips, Mum.
Wow. Remember, our family honor.
My mother, the unbearable.
Stop being inspirational. Stop saying she's good acting. She can't make money to look after me.
Annoying.
We are under control.
Demanding.
You want the plasma? No laughter. Doctor, be doctor.
But she loves me.
Be you ugly.
For those of you who haven't seen Fee and Me, it is a Vietnamese comedy and the world's first. Diana Nguyen actually plays the mother role and she does the accent just so incredibly well. It is absolutely hilarious, but it also has some pretty serious undertones, doesn't it, Diana? Can you just talk to us about what was the inspiration for Fee and Me?
So Fee and Me was co-created by Fiona Chow and myself, and I've known Fiona since grade 4. And both our mums were single mums, and we would hang out with each other. And I think when we were in our mid-20s, I decided to see that there were no stories about Vietnamese people at the comedy festival. So in 2010, I just said to Fiona, do you want to make a show and talk about our mums and, you know, how much they loved us and hated us? And so back in 2011 when we wrote the show, it was about, you know, how our mums treated us, the tough love. But it's so interesting because Fee and Me is now, you know, its 9th year. When I recall Fee and Me and what it is as a web series, it's actually a love story to our mums, to our Vietnamese refugee parents who came here. And that's how Fee and Me has evolved. It was originally just a story where we just told jokes about our mums, but now it's actually a love story. To say thank you for coming here on a boat and allowing me to be interviewed by Ahmad on the SnortCast.
I know you've reached a level that is just you know, it's next level now. Now I know it is a bit of a tribute to your parents. Do you think it's also therapeutic in a way?
Definitely. Well, look, it took 5 years to make it into a web series, so definitely it was therapy for me. I feel like I didn't know how to articulate to my mum, hey, thanks for doing all this. And I feel like we've been able to put into a capsule and say, Mum and Dad, thank you. Without, you know, because Vietnamese culture, we're not huggers, we're not kissers. We really sorry.
Not very affectionate.
It's non-affectionate. It's very different from Westerners. You know, you get a cheek kiss,
Right.
kiss. You know, French people kiss. Vietnamese people, it's like, here's food. I love you. That's it. Like,
I got you.
and then you walk away. But Vietnamese people, yeah, we show affection so differently, and I think we've been able to show that. We have been able to define that love in Fee and Me, and that's the love language.
So in Fee and Me, you're really taking the piss out of your mum the entire time, right? I mean, you impersonate your mum just perfectly, and it has you in stitches. Has your mum seen Fee and Me, and what was her reaction?
My mum has seen Fee and Me. She when she saw it in 2011, she was hiding in the back seat row, and I was watching her, and she was laughing, but she was hiding her mouth with the flyer, so that no one could see her laughing. And I took her to the US a couple of years ago to see me perform in Orange County, and she was just, I think she realized that I wasn't the poor actor anymore, that I had potential now. Yeah. And I know that my mum knows I can do this career because she said, go lose some weight if you want to be in the acting career.
That's nice, encouraging.
It is encouraging. It means that she is accepting that I am an actor, but I've got to lose some weight.
Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah. So it's her words of encouragement in a state of acceptance.
Yes, that is it.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, cool. Look, for the audience, if you have any questions for Diana, for myself, for both of us, please feel free to drop them in. Diana, we're happy to talk about anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no topic off limits.
Well, I got this banner from you that you made, and it said Diana's the coolest person on LinkedIn. So that's a cool one. Thanks for that, Ahmad.
Yep, I spent a while making that. What a coincidence that you put it on there. You are one of the coolest people on LinkedIn, though. So ask Diana a question, ask myself a question, ask us both questions. Please drop them in. We're happy to answer everything. We're both open books, depending on a topic. But today we're happy to make an exception. So drop some questions in the comments there. While we get some questions, Diana, during this pandemic, how have you actually seen the light through the dark?
It's a good question. It's really, look, if I can say it simply, is that in the darkness of this pandemic, because we see it not discriminate anyone. It's not discriminating people of race, culture. It's everyone in the world is in this together. And I've been testing out this LinkedIn Live for a really long time, trying to figure out what my value was, what my mission was. And then, you know, you would come on. I had like people come on just testing this out for me. And I had the Just Doing Karaoke show, and which was lots of light. And that's how you and I first met. Like Just Doing Karaoke is the joy, light of LinkedIn, because, you know, how do you get entrepreneurs to let go? You get them to sing. But for me, when, like, I think it was in like April, May, I was thinking there must be more to my LinkedIn Live. There must be something of value I can give. And the comedy festival had just ended and closed, cancelled. No one was performing on stage anymore. And I had all these comedian friends who didn't know what to do. And then I had this accent. And so I have been able to use something that I use professionally in my life, and hopefully these interviews brings people light and laughter. And yes, I that's what I want to do. Is I want people to I think for me, what I've learned about LinkedIn is process, and I feel like people don't know what the processes of a comedy person is, and I hope that the SnortCast allows that space for it.
I think one thing that resonates with you is when you have videos of you dancing, or you have videos of you, you know, making fun of yourself, there's more to it than just what people see at face value. You know, you have a genuine need and passion to see other people happy, to see other people joyful. And it really comes out in situations like this, which is the reason I wanted people to see this other side of you, where you do speak about it with conviction. This is something that is no BS for you. You know, this is very real for you. You love seeing people happy. You love seeing people joyful. You have this innate ability, and you've tapped into it on LinkedIn, where you can make the most serious people, executives, directors, CEOs, people that wouldn't even generally smile on LinkedIn because it's a professional platform, and you get them to sing, you get them to do karaoke, you get them to dance, and in that process, they find themselves, or they at least find this other version of themselves that really makes them happy. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Well, that was what I was really curious. Like Ahmad, like when I met you in that Sydney park, and you know, you were like really animated to do this Just Doing Karaoke thing. And you know what? I'm so glad that you did, because I don't think we would have another chance to have met in Sydney, you know, because I'm from Melbourne, you're from Sydney. And it just worked, that synergy that day in that park. I was half an hour late and we just slammed it out in like 8 minutes. I realized why, and I was trying to figure out, why are people letting me do that with them? Like, why? That there is a reason why. And then, you know, I went to the US and I did, you know, the 7-city tour, dancing with content creators, and I was like, why are they doing this? Then it took me to my TED talk, and I had to sit down and figure out why. And that's when I realized is that because I was willing to be a fool first, permission to hide behind me to be a fool too, but I would always take up the bigger space, but I would allow them to have access to that joy. However, you were like my counterpart. When we did that, just to encourage, you didn't want to be in the shadow. You just popped out of nowhere.
I know. I broke that mold there. But you raise a very good point. I think people that have seen your stuff on LinkedIn and they have seen what you do, they trust the process, right? So in terms of your Just Doing Karaoke, they trust the process, that you're going to guide them through the process. You're going to ask the questions. You're going to do a song together, and you're there almost holding their hand. They know that they're jumping out of their comfort zone to do it, but they also know that the feeling at the end of it is going to be a rewarding one, and it's going to be fun. So a large part of that is you being able to carry people through the process and then give them confidence throughout the process. And the way they feel at the end of the show is incredible, and that's very much a skill set. Diana, we've got a few questions. We've got a question from Luke S, and that is, what is the most challenging act you have ever done?
Ooh, challenging act. I talked about it in my show, Dirty Diana. Oh no, yeah. Well, there was this one time I did this stand-up show in Edinburgh. It was a Wednesday night. My show was called Naked. It was at 12:30 midnight. I walked into my show and there were 6 men in the audience. There were no females in the audience. And my brain freaked out. And I thought, oh no, they're thinking I'm going to be naked in this show. Oh no, what do I do? So I started to freak out. And I talked about in Dirty Diana, which was that I had a preconception of what they were expecting from me. But actually, I needed to reverse that and go, no, they're actually here to watch my show, and whatever I give them is a gift. So that was, I remember being on stage for 5 minutes, like having like this brain going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And it ended up being the most magical show I've ever done in my life. To have these 6 men watch my show from beginning to end and not leave. That's when you know that you're doing well. And I got tipped when they walked out. I got this guy who tipped me money. So yeah, that was brilliant.
Lucas, thank you very much for that question. Anybody else that has any questions, like I said, Diana is here to answer any question that you put forward. Any questions. So feel free to drop them in. Diana, let's talk about a topic that is something that's very important to me also. The topic of diversity. And more specifically, diversity in comedy. Now, you are clearly of Vietnamese heritage. How has that had an impact on your career as a comedian, and what are some of those challenges that you faced?
It's a great question, and that's one of the reasons why I started to watch your content, Ahmad, when you first came on, because I remember one of the first videos that you blew up in was when you talked about your name and how recruiters wouldn't look at your name.
Yeah.
And I knew, bam, we're so aligned with diversity and about our mission to have equality and to just be human, right? Just to be human. Like, we don't want to be labeled. We just want to be human. So for me, that's what I've been fighting for as a comic. Like, I've been doing stand-up for nearly 5 years now. And, there's that standard lineup where there's 10 men and 1 woman. And I want to change that language. Why don't we have 5 and 5? And let's change the token. I want to take out that word token, because we are not tokens. We are humans. How do we change the word token Asian, token Egyptian? Because when I think about LinkedIn and how you and I are on LinkedIn, like, your motto is kindness. It's not saying, hey, support me, I'm Egyptian. You're saying, no, this is my value. I'm here for kindness and compassion. I'm here for joy. If you want to connect with that, you connect with that. But don't put me into a box of my or gender. So I started a lineup show called the Snort Cast, where I made sure that my lineups had 50% of everything. Like, I try. And I'm saying the word try because it's different from saying there isn't any, because I find that that's a huge excuse when it comes to diversity. Oh, I had a look, but there's nothing out there. That's not trying. That's just saying shit. And I proved it. And I did 5 shows where I had a balance of men and women. And that's why I love LinkedIn, because it is men and women having the same space to tell their story. So that's how important diversity is for me.
So in every industry, there's always one person or a couple of people that have to break through first, right? And they're the courageous ones that are putting themselves on the line so that people after them don't have to go through the same amount of pain that they went through, and you've paved the way as a result. How do you feel knowing that you are one of those people for the Vietnamese community?
Oh, it's a lot of pressure. I have to say it is a lot of pressure to carry that. But I am thinking about the next generation, and if I can make it easier for them, then at least I did something. And that's me thinking about children. Like, you know, I want to have kids one day, and I just want to imagine that my kids in 20 years' time have more of an opportunity in life than instead of fighting for that door. Because when you're breaking doors all the time, you kind of stop enjoying life, really. Because when you're a martyr and you're fighting and fighting and fighting, you lose the enjoyment. And that's why Feed Me took 5 years, because I was fighting and fighting and fighting. And now that it's out, now can I enjoy it? So, you know, I want that experience to happen for the third generation of Vietnamese Australians.
Love that. Love that. Let's take a break for a few questions. I've seen a few questions come through. A question from Brian Monahan. And the question is, how do you find your center when you have a tough audience? So I guess perhaps when you're being heckled, when you've got a tough crowd, perhaps they're not laughing at your jokes. How do you get centered and continue on?
That is a good question. And you know what I do? I laugh at myself. If an audience is laughing, I say, well, that's a crap joke, and I acknowledge it, and I don't cover it up, and I don't try to move on. I just, well, that's a crap joke, and I'm very audience participation kind of person, so I would ask the audience a question, and get them engaged and get them back in. Yeah, that would be my tip, is just call it.
Cool. Oh, no better tip than that, than making fun of yourself. What is it? Self-deprecating? A question from Tima. Tima, how you doing? I saw Tima ask a question before this. Who was your favorite, me or her? But I mean, I didn't need to ask that question because clearly it's me, right? The question from Tima. What was the happiest moment in your life?
Oof, that's a big question. What was the happiest moment in your life? Damn, that's so big. That's so big, because I think about today, and when I met Tima, there you go. I think that's what she wanted me to say.
Until
I met Tima was the happiest day of my life.
There you go, Tima. You got your answer. Until you then met myself, but I mean, we don't need to go into that detail. Okay, next question. And another one from Brian, actually. Thank you very much, Brian. How much do you need to change your content across countries? That's interesting. So I'm assuming, Brian, you're talking about the content in her comedy shows. And how much does culture have an impact in how much you change your routine?
Oh, that's such a great question. So, example, like when I did Naked, the show Naked, not Naked, but the show Naked, I did it around Australia, and it was about Australian culture, like my interactions with TV shows, such. But then when I went to Edinburgh, I knew that people didn't know what Q&A was. I knew that they didn't know certain things. So I had to curate the jokes so that they got it. And the great thing about Edinburgh Fringe Festival is that everyone around the world goes to Edinburgh. So you're not actually making it country to country. You're just making the jokes universal. And that's what I learned when I performed in Edinburgh, that you've got to make your jokes universal, because if you start curating content to a group of people, like a niche, your humor, you're actually losing like 3/4 of your humor to the whole world. So when you speak big, you have a bigger audience.
Well said. Now we're going to have a Q&A shortly, so please throw in those comments. We're going to answer many more comments. But before we do, Diana, what is your next journey? Where to from here?
My next journey. There is quite a few things in the loophole that I can't say at the moment. But there are some really awesome stuff coming out that's happening. So I can't say. I can't spill.
Okay. Well, I told you I was going to ask you. Yeah, go on.
But however, I am chasing Keanu Reeves in 2021. That's for sure.
Boom. Okay. So it's happening. Chasing Keanu Reeves is happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah,
well, I've got
2021.
I've got a question that's a little bit more difficult then. How do you want to be remembered? What kind of impact do you want to make, and how do you want to be remembered?
Ugh.
I know, that's a good one, right?
It's a good one. It's a good one. I already know what my tombstone will say.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it says I die doing, yeah. And it says I die doing what I loved.
I love that. That's amazing. And you are you represent one of those people that, and I don't mean this in a negative way to all those people out there that might have just done this, but you didn't listen to your parents, you didn't listen to your mum, you didn't listen to your friends, you did what was right by you, you trusted your instincts, you took huge risks, and you're living a life that's absolutely true to you and aligned with you. So I think that's very fitting.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
It's been a hard journey, but I would have not met you if I didn't have this path that I chose. So, things happen in life and people come into your life and they're meant to be part of your life. And I'm so lucky to have met you, and the LinkedIn crew, they're on right now supporting. So yeah, die doing what I loved. That's
beautiful. Now, before we wrap up, I might go to maybe one or two more questions. And I saw a question here from Mike Baker, which I just have to ask you. And the question is, what will you do if you catch Keanu Reeves?
Impregnate myself.
Boom. No, you can either leave it at that or you can elaborate.
I would just say, let's leave it at that. It's short and simple.
Okay, if we have any other questions, drop them through. Thank you, everyone that's joined us. I mean, I can see Kiki, Joseph, Tima, Michael, Mike, Larry, Brian. Really appreciate all of you jumping in and leaving those incredible comments, and the support that you leave every single week is truly appreciative. Michael, sorry, Diana. I said Michael because I got a LinkedIn Live with Michael every single week. So my apologies. It was that's how many LinkedIn Lives I've been doing. Diana, one last question from me, and it's an important question because it's something that I'm truly passionate about. And that question is, Where do you get your confidence from?
It's a good question. I think it comes from my childhood. Like my dad used to like videotape us as kids in the living room dancing. Like my mum would hold the video cam, like the big chunky ones back in the 1980s, right? And my mum would film me with my dad, and it would be us dancing in the living room with the 1980s music. And when I see that child, and I used to rewatch it all the time, and it just makes me happy. For me, confidence for me comes from that feeling of happiness. I don't know if there's a formula to it, but I think if you are attuned to yourself, and you want to see sunflowers and unicorns and stuff, I think you really have to go back to that moment of joy from your childhood, because I really believe that's where the confidence comes from. And it's like, Ahmad, you recently showed that picture of you back 10 years ago or 15 years ago as a rapper, as a wannabe rapper. Like, I see that, and you see that there's that really beautiful raw confidence, Yeah, it's so raw, and and look at us now. We now know how to hold that confidence. It's not that, like, imagine you came in that costume. That would be a great Halloween costume, but
I might still have it somewhere, so who knows?
yeah. But it's when you can hold that joy and really harness it. I think that's where confidence comes from me.
I love that. And look, I've said that confidence is simply having the courage to speak your truth, and that's what you do every single day. You jump online, you pour your heart out to everyone, good, bad, and indifferent, and you give us you and every single bit of you. Diana, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for having me on this show at 9 to 10 p.m. in Sydney. I truly value our friendship, and I can't wait to see your growth over the coming years. I truly can't. I want to give a thank you to Diana's Patreon community for making this possible, allowing us to do this. And I say us as if it's my show now. Allowing Diana to do this every single week and bring us some incredibly hilarious people. And make sure that you follow these links. You can see the links there to Diana's social media channels, the Facebook, the YouTube, the Instagram, and that's at the SnortCast. That's at the SnortCast. You can find Diana at diananguyen.com.au and / the SnortCast. You can see all the episodes there. Diana, you've got an amazing live show coming up on Wednesday. Can you talk to us about that?
Oh, look, it's nothing big. I was on the project last year to promote Fee and Me, and I became good friends with Peter Hellier, who then ended up writing me into his TV show How to Stay Married. And during COVID, I just messaged him and said, "Hey, can you come on my show?" And he said, "Sure," because we're in lockdown. He has nothing else to do at 8 o'clock. So yeah, he's going to be on the show on Wednesday to talk about. He's funny. He's been in comedy for over 20 years, and the expertise and the growth that he's gone through, I think, will be great for the audience.
I'm a huge fan of Peter Hellier, and anyone based in Australia would know who Peter Hellier is and how hilarious he is. Anyone who doesn't, make sure you tune in on Wednesday and check out Diana Nguyen's LinkedIn Live. Diana, I'm not going to say thank you for joining my show. I'm going to say thank you for allowing me on your show. And next week, please tune in, because Diana's going back to hosting the show. So, Diana, thank you very much for your time. And again, thank you very much for having me on.
No, thank you. You're such a champion. And, anyone needing a host to host their show, there's Ahmad. You can add that to your resume.
That sounds like a plan.
And before we leave, I'm just going to show, or Ahmed's going to show a video, and then we'll see you all next Wednesday. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.